All right, good morning, everybody, and I appreciate you taking the time to be here and talking a little Mountaineer women's basketball. I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. We had a great summer, good fall, I guess, from the preseason, if you want to call it that. And then officially we've had one practice, which was yesterday, kind of unofficially, although we kind of started on Monday. But had most of the group here throughout the summer, got them all here in August, so the roster of 13, and had some really good workouts. Conditioning went really well, which was twice a week for us in the mornings, so threw a little adversity at them to get up a little bit earlier than they probably would have liked to build some character, I guess, if you will. And then obviously on the basketball court about 3 times a week through the preseason. But really like the group, enjoy being around them. When I say every day, like when I leave my office to go down to practice, I'm in a really, really good place because I really enjoy this group. And great kids, easy to coach, easy to be around, really no issues off the court, not a lot of drama with this group. I've been truly blessed with a great group, great coaching staff. Family got settled in here once school started, so feel like we're in a really, really good place right now. Excited for the season to get going. We do have one of those closed scrimmages October 15th, so that actually is creeping up really quick, and that kind of hit home a little bit. And then Big 12 schedule got announced, I think you saw the other day, and we're about to do the preseason polls and all that kind of stuff. All conference team comes out, so it starts to get real here pretty quick. But yeah, excited for where we're at and excited to see what comes from this season.
So Mark, just give us a quick overview on what you've got. I mean, you've seen them some in these workouts. Obviously got a long ways to go, but strengths, weaknesses, what do you think?
Yeah, good question. So, I mean, it's a roster of 6 returners and 7 newcomers. We're going to rely on those veterans, I guess, probably quite a bit, but then we definitely need some of the newcomers to step up. But there's a lot of players that have done it and had success. So, of course, it starts with JJ Quinerly and an all Big 12 kid, and I think she's going to have a better year even this year than she's had. I've kind of challenged all of the returners. They need to be the best version of themselves this year for us to achieve the things that we want to achieve. And that will start with JJ, but I think she's in a pretty good spot. And, we've challenged her to lead. She's not the most vocal kid, if you know her, but she certainly plays her tail off and she'll compete. But, now we need some vocal leadership, and I think we're still trying to identify who that is on this team. And I don't know how vocal she will be, but I think if we can get that out of her, that would be great for us. And then there's like a group that really need, that group that started. So technically, I guess we returned, 4 of 5 starters. So you're talking about Jayla Hemingway, Kaya Watson, Kylie Blackston, and then, of course, JJ. So that's the group that really needs to be really good for us from the returning group. And Tavi Diggs has played really well, though, this year. And we've statted all of our practices, and I think she's shooting about 62% in practice and making her free throws. So she's had a really, really good summer and fall. So I've been excited, for what she's done. And then Messiah Hunter would be the other, the 6th returner who needs to have the best year that she's had. So, strengths and weaknesses, I don't completely know yet. I think we're going to be really good at the guard position. I think we got some versatility. I think we're going to be able to play fast. I think we're going to be able to get after people on the defensive end. So in my mind, the vision that we talked about at the press conference, I think that's going to come to fruition. I think we're going to be able to play the way that we want to play. I know we weren't a great rebounding team last year, so when you asked about weaknesses, that's still one to me that I think we're going to have to address that. We tried to address it a little bit through recruiting. I don't know if we got it all done quite yet, but I think we'll be a little better rebounding, but we may not be a great rebounding team. But I think we're going to be able to shoot it a little bit. I think we're going to have some athleticism, some speed, some quickness. We'll be able to get after some people. But then we need the new kids, right? So Jordan Harrison, Lauren Fields, Tirza Moore, like that group, Danelle, Shayla. I know we just need those kids are going to have to play and be really good for us too, to just create some depth. We don't have a ton of depth. We're waiting on a couple waivers as well, like the men's team. So we need a couple of those to come through, to kind of add to the depth. But no, I have the vision, and it's been nice to have the summer and the fall to kind of see that I think it can come true.
Who are you waiting on?
I know a Holzer and Shayla Mosbury.
Are you
Mixing and matching a lot right now, just trying to see who works well, and kind of stat it and chart it.
Yeah, it's been all mix and match. I mean, we really haven't put like a starting group together, so to speak. I mean, now they may accidentally kind of get there, and every day I just change the teams though. So this isn't and I'll do that all year too, except for a few practices a week where we may put the starting group once we figure out who that might be. And you have ideas as a coach. I haven't led on to that at all, and I don't want the kids. I don't want to do that yet anyway. And I told them all summer, I was like, guys, show me whatever you got. Be the best version of you. So like Tabby Diggs, for instance, played at TCU, transferred from TCU, and averaged, I think it was her sophomore year, 9.6 or 8 points and 6.5 rebounds, something like that in the Big 12. I was like, Tabby, let me see that version of you. Not the West Virginia version of you a year ago. That wasn't good enough, but I know that it's in there. And so I've really just tried to allow them to completely showcase, and some of that was good and some wasn't, but the part that wasn't good, we had it statistics to it, and we could go back and say, hey, look, here's an area that you're not quite efficient at. Let's help you get there. But until we get there, let's maybe have a different role for you. And so we've been able to talk through a little bit of that, and we're doing that more and more now as we've gotten closer to the season.
You come in, late April, early May. Can you talk about building the relationship with JJ? And was there ever a moment where she was thinking about maybe transferring, going somewhere else? Did you have to kind of re-recruit her, sell her on you? The early stages and how it's kind of blossomed over the time you've been here.
Yeah. Yes and no. I mean, no, there was never a she was leaving discussion or anything like that with me. Now, you could ask her and get her mindset, I guess. But no, of course, I was re-recruiting her, but that was all of them. You wanted to keep that core group. When I got here, essentially, there were 6. There was a roster of 6, and we were able to keep all 6. So I've kind of joked that was like win number 1 was keeping those 6. But that was a good group, and like I said, 4 of the 5 starters. So that was really important to keep the group. Of course, JJ being a big piece of that. But no, she's been fantastic. We've had great conversations. Through it, and I think she's all in. She loves being here. She loves West Virginia, Morgantown, loves being on the women's basketball team here. I think she really has some goals to be, legit goals to go down as one of the greatest players that's played here in the school's history, and I think that's really important to her to achieve those things. So I think she can do those. I mean, she's excited where she said something, Coach, we put the press in the other day, and I was setting it up, and she's like, Coach, you're going to let me press, right? And I was like, yeah, we're going to get after it, but one of her goals is to be the all-time steals leader here, and she was pretty open about that, and she has some other goals too, but that was one of the ones that she gave me last week when we met, and so obviously us pressing and playing the way that we do will probably allow her to get a few more steals. But yeah, it's just me painting a picture and a vision and hoping these kids buy into that, which they have done, and JJ's been right at the front of it.
So JJ, not the only one. Like you said, 6 returnees. I guess the expectation is most of them are their 3rd coach in 3 years. I'm going to find someplace else. What your expectations coming in? Did you even a little surprised you were able to hang on to all of them?
Well, yes and no. I mean, some of them really didn't have their transfer with immediate eligibility, so they couldn't really go any. I mean, they could, but they would maybe lose the year or have to sit. So they didn't all have that option either. But yeah, you're always, I don't know if worried's the right word, but that's a possibility when you take over. And yes, being the 3rd coach in 3 years isn't an ideal situation, but I've been really, really pleased with that group of 6. They have been fantastic since I've been here. Great kids, come from great families. Like I said, easy to coach. So it has been true. It's been seamless. This has been as seamless. I think this is my 5th job that I've taken over, and this has been the easiest transition of any of them from that standpoint.
Any concerns with JJ, her aggressiveness? If you watched tape last year, she got a lot of fouls away from the basket, and she wants to be the steals leader, all that. You have to kind of channel that a little bit.
You do, and so I met with each kid individually a week ago, and we went through just basic, tangible, on-the-court goals, and fouling came up in our conversation. And so, yeah, she did. You had a tendency to foul, and it's really just the timing of the fouls, because I don't want to take away her aggressiveness. That's what makes her who she is, and that's how she plays. But what you're talking about is you can't have 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes of a game like that. Yeah, that can cripple you a little bit, cripples our team, coach, but then it's is that foul trouble though? We can go through that and we can talk through that forever. Is 2 fouls foul trouble? Is it not? Some kids can play with 2, some can't, but I think she's growing up. She, talked about that she got better as the year went on. So Jordan Harrison for me at SFA last year was the same way. She was fouling everybody early in the year and wanting to pressure, and they're going to play a little bit alike. But she got better as the year went on. So it's just teaching them, how to play, quit using their hands so much, use their feet a little bit more. But yeah, JJ's as quick and dynamic guarding the ball as any kid I've coached.
The full court press, is it a fascination with you, or is it just your system? And can you kind of talk about, where you picked it up and your belief with it?
Sure, yeah. No, I'll give you the historical rundown if you want. I mean, it started when I actually first got the job at Fort Lewis College back in the day, Division II. My very first year, I think we had a roster of 9 kids and really 7 that could play. And so we started it with we couldn't guard very well, and we couldn't guard a whole 30-second shot clock. And so I was like, okay, we need to just take time off the clock is how this started. So we ran a 1-2-2 kind of press, and we were just trying to get people to pass it around the perimeter. The goal literally was like when there's 18 seconds on the shot clock, we were hoping they were going to run offense, and then everybody's going to shoot it with, say, 5 on the clock. So we're only defending you technically now for about 13 seconds in the half court. So that's where it really started. And then we recruited better players at Fort Lewis, and we got pretty good, and then we turned it into a 2-2-1 so we could really guard the ball all the time. And then over years, yeah, it's just... And I told the kids yesterday or a couple days ago when we really started putting this in, I was like, this will take on whatever identity you want it to. So I teach it a certain way, but then each team's identity, right? So if we really want to get after you, we can. If we could pull everybody up and make it almost look like a full court man. So we can really mix and match that press based on the skill set of each team each year. I imagine this team, it looks like, is going to want to kind of rev it up a little bit from what I can already tell, and we're only a couple days into really putting that in place. But that's really, it originated there as a slow you down. We can still run it that way if we want to, and that's what I do like about it. If you're playing somebody that wants to play really fast, like we can run it as, a press just to make you take time off, or if we think you have some vulnerable ball handlers, then we're going to come at you a little bit. So allows us to play multiple ways. I'm big into that. I think you got to have I don't want to just be an offensive coach or just a defensive coach or only win high scoring games or low scoring games. Like, let's be able to grind out a game if that's what it requires, or if we need to score some points, let's figure out how to put the ball in the net.
What kind of impact does pressing have in the women's game? I mean, obviously the men's program kind of caught fire with their press a few years back. But I imagine there's maybe a different kind of impact pressing in the women's game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the 2 weakest skills in women's basketball are passing and ball handling. Passing is still now probably at the top. It used to be ball handling, but they all have these trainers now, right, that they work on that ball handling a ton and maybe almost over dribble it. But pressing is one way to take advantage of those 2 weakest skills in the game. So that's really, we don't do it just to do it. Like, there is actually a rationale behind it, and that's really what it is. And the same thing, we'll play more zone than most teams probably because of those 2 things. Where we don't pass particularly well in our game, so how do you take advantage of that? We'll take away lanes and play some zone and be active with it. And so we'll turn people over the most in our zone than we will in the press and probably even man defense historically over my career.
Scheme moving up to Power 5 level, or basketball, you guys going to do what you do?
I'm going to go with basketball's basketball. I'm going to do what I do until somebody proves that I can't do what I do. But we've played at SFA, we played Power 5 teams and, had success. We played North Carolina in the NCAA tournament and, had a lead with a few minutes to go. Lose to Georgia Tech in the NCAA tournament, playing the exact same way with not quite as probably bigger as athletic kids. So that's what I've said from the beginning is allow us to recruit to the brand and see if we can't get some, really, really good talented players and put them in a system that has really worked really well in my career. And let's see what that looks like. But until somebody proves that this isn't something we can do, we're certainly going to stick with it.
Can there be offense out of this defense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there should be. I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. And if you're going to play that way, then you need to create some offense from the defense. Otherwise, it's not probably worth doing. So, how many points a game, I don't know. But, a couple of my coaches that haven't been with me after we kind of started putting it in were like, no, I could really see us getting 9 to 12 points a game off of, just straight steals. And so that's stuff we talk about, right? Steals versus turnovers. Turnovers allow them to set their defense. Steals are open court. That's typically a numbered advantage for us. So, that's something we track pretty closely, and we'll monitor as we go. But, yeah, we definitely better be creating some offense from that defense.
It's not 5-on-5.
It's not, and that's the idea. But, it's momentum too, right? Momentum is dangerous in our game. I think we all know that. But we can get a turnover in a bucket and another turnover in a bucket, and then here pretty quick we're on a 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. If we can get to a 9-0 run, That's significant in our game. And depending on when that is, right? But that's a big old momentum. Might be timeout, whoever you're playing, and we're running over, high-fiving, and we just went on a big old run that they may never overcome.
You mentioned rebounding as a potential weakness. You've got some front court players back. You've also got Jayla back. What will they mean, I guess, to trying to improve, your overall level of rebounding on both?
Yeah, well, Jayla was the leading rebounder a year ago at 5'9" or whatever Jayla is, which is a credit to her, but we've also got some length that needs to rebound a little bit better, so we tried to get some size with Donnell. So that was pretty important. Tirza Moore averaged a double-double at Oral Roberts, so she will definitely help in the rebounding category, and then we need Lauren Fields, and we need Kylie Blackston, and we need Tavi Diggs. They're going to have to rebound it better than they've ever rebounded it before for us. And Kyle Watson would be the other one, I guess, that really could probably take a step in the rebounding department.
You mentioned Jordan a couple minutes ago. How important is her and Zai's impact both in the locker room and on the court, knowing the SFA model and bringing it here?
Yeah, no, it's invaluable, especially when you're putting in new stuff and it's a new system. And, I can throw it out there. I'm like, Jordan, get out here first. Or, we're doing a drill and Jordan, come on and show them. And so, she also is a point guard. So I'm trying to help her, leadership and let other people see her, players see her in that role. But yeah, they've been through it. They know the lingo. They know the language. They know my personality. I was getting a little frustrated at practice a little bit yesterday at just a few things, and then you could see Jordan picking up on that, pretty quick, trying to change it and trying to motivate some of the other kids. So no, it's invaluable, and they've been through it, and I've loved coaching them, and I'm so glad they're here with us. Yeah.
Offensively, do you see JJ like on the ball, off the ball, both, or combination?
Yeah, she'll play both. She'll play as the point guard. She'll play as the two. She'll play as a playmaker. I'm sure late in the game she's going to be a decision maker. Doesn't always have to be scoring or hitting the shot, but it needs to probably be ball in hand and ball in your best player's hand. And then, I think it's our job to put her in the right position, though, and put everybody around her that, accentuates her skill set and creates as much space, for her as we can, because she's pretty dynamic without question with the ball in her hand. But, she's as elite end to end too, like on a missed shot, and you can get her in the open space. This kid is as good as anybody in the country in open space with the ball. So we've got to have the ball in her hands, but I also don't want to just wear her out as the point guard the entire night and let Jordan take some of that from her, and then let her not relax, but relax a little bit, and not have to worry about that piece.
Have you had many players with the ball in their hands faster than the people they're going against, like Quinerly is?
No, JJ would be. And Jordan's pretty fast with the ball too in a straight line. These are two of the two quickest kids I've ever had with the ball in their hands, for sure. And I've had a couple others that were really elite with the ball in their hand, but not to this level.
Have you thought about that, about creative ways to use those two?
We have. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think part of it is the turnovers, too, but it being in transition and just how are we going to create space? That's what basketball is how do you create space and get long closeouts? And, when you have dynamic kids like those two. And, they're a little smaller, too, though. So they need to space. They need to be able to see, and so we've got to be able to create that.
You're putting this roster together, so day two you get here, your thought process, you looked at what you had coming back. What did you need? Did you feel what you needed? Was it always going to be all transfers? Just walk me through all that.
Yeah, it probably would have been all transfers at the time that we got it. There weren't going to be a whole or really any freshmen at that point that could help us at the level that we wanted to. We've talked about rebounding several times now, so that was one area we knew we needed to shore up. Probably needed another guard or guards to really help, kind of the depth at the guard position. And so I thought we did that. Yeah, so for the most part, I thought we did a pretty good job. We maybe missed on a couple kids that I would love to have gotten in the process, but maybe we were a little late too. Just they had already been recruited by a few other schools, so we were probably a little late to the game. But all in all, for the timing, I thought, yeah, we probably did about as good of a job as we could have to put the roster together that's going to give us a chance to have success. But you're talking about 4 kids did come back that were on an NCAA tournament team, so that's a great place to start.
Holzer, she was the late one, right?
She was.
What was the thought process there to bring another guard in?
Yeah, another ball handling guard. I thought we were short of one ball handling guard, and so we needed one more. And we're trying to get her eligible through the waiver process. But even if not, it gives us another one that if we play Jordan, and it was really Jordan and JJ are going to play together quite a bit, and even in practice they need to play together. So we just really needed another ball handling guard to practice opposite them if she doesn't get the waiver.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, with your ties out west and the Midwest, coaching out there, but now you come to the East, but coaching at a school that plays on a conference. So, I mean, do you really have to change your recruiting thinking or, what you're looking for and where you look? Because, I mean, you kind of have all those ties out there anyway. So.
Yeah, well, I think we want to expand the recruiting, footprint, so to speak, right? East, because there's so much good talent out, around West Virginia. Maybe not so much in our state, but all around. Ohio is great high school girls basketball. The it's DMV and Dallas right now, is all the so-called experts would tell you. That's where the big, talent is. And so we've got the whole Big 12 corridor. That is the background. That's a lot of the coaching staff's background. So I do feel like we'll still recruit that, pretty heavily. But yeah, we've really wanted to expand and get into Philadelphia and the DMV. And so we've worked pretty hard into Ohio. So those are areas that we've really focused on because the level of basketball is pretty good. But there's also been former players that have come from there. Bria Holmes has reached out with a player that she was coaching that, and so it's just tapping into those, resources, and former players and just really trying to get to know some of the AAU coaches and high school coaches. But there are so many that know all about West Virginia. Maybe they lived here, grew up here, just know something about it. So it hasn't been overly difficult necessarily, and they've been very receptive to us. But it's more expanded, I guess, than change it.
I was going to say, like Philadelphia, I mean, that's probably an area, I don't know if you've ever recruited out of there before, but I mean, it kind of, a new experience, I guess, in that.
No, it is. Yeah. No, I have not. I've never had a Philly kid before. Haven't really recruited that a whole lot. But like the Philly Rise is the AAU team on the women's side that Kevin Lynch runs that program and does a phenomenal job at all of the different levels. And so it's been fun watching that group and talking to him and just trying to get, a great feel for, what that looks like. And it's been the same in Ohio and, like I said, the DMV and all of those areas too.
So future recruiting, though, you talk about areas, but you're going to be a transfer heavy, a mix of both, all high school? What's your future look like when you recruit?
No, I would think a little bit of both. I don't want to go away from the high school. I call them program kids that will be in your program for multiple years, ideally 3 or 4 years. I mean, that's the way I built it pre-portal, right? I was never a transfer guy. I mean, it was always the transfers were the kids that were in your program that were young. So when you had a senior class graduate, it was your sophomores and juniors that took their spot because they've been in your program. And we knew if you had 4 seniors that year, you recruited 4 freshmen, you knew the 4 positions that they played, and you just, and so it just rolled through. Well, we've had to kind of change that thinking a little bit. So I would imagine it will be a blend. We have 1 high school kid committed for next year, hoping to get 1 more here in the next couple weeks committed. So if there was a freshman class of 2 or 3, I think that would be fine by me. And then we would plug in with transfers late.
I noticed you inherited a schedule that had a lot of openings.
I did.
Did you fill them up, I guess, as best you could?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, we have a 29 game schedule. You could play up to 31 if you want to. But we do have 29. Yeah, there were some holes when we got it for sure, and it was kind of slim pickings, so to speak, and dates that weren't always the best. And but yeah, I think it gives us opportunities to win some games, play at home, which I think would be really important to us, is protecting your home court. And I've heard all throughout the summer too about just how hard it is to win at West Virginia and in the Coliseum, and maybe even the hardest place in the Big 12. So I'm excited for that, but we do need to protect our home court. But so I think the non-conference allows us to really kind of get an identity at home. Of course, you get kind of the rivals with Pitt and Penn State, so those will be fun to play, and then go to Puerto Rico, so we get to take them somewhere and get to know each other, those types of things while you're on that trip and experience something outside of this country. The idea is to be prepared for Big 12 play. I think we're going to get plenty of it. I don't know that we have to have any net help, because I think you're going to get net/RPI help with just the league schedule. But it's just, we're going to need the preseason to get on the same page. Like, we need to take the court. We need to go scrimmage. We need to play 5-on-5 as much as possible so we can start to feel this out a little bit.
Do you have any idea where things stand on the waivers? Are you confident that you'll be getting them? How important will they be for the overall depth?
Well, they would absolutely help on the depth. I have no idea. I mean, I know kind of where we're at in the process. I think Shayla's is a little ahead of Ainoa's, like as in we may hear sooner. Now, I don't know if you can figure out what the NCAA's decisions are going to be, you let me know, because I have no idea. They're harder to get now, like just in the last year, they just become way more difficult to get through. So I don't know. I guess in my mind, I'm kind of preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. So kind of going with, if they don't get them, then that's a roster of 10 right now for us. If they do go through, then obviously that considerably helps the depth.
You have 3 in the.
Oh, there's 2. Zaya Nugent will be out for the year. She got hurt a year ago, so she's going to miss the year.
As a coach, do you like that the waivers are tougher, making kids a little less susceptible to transfer, or would you like it to be loose and able to get in whoever you want?
I don't know. I mean, I could answer it probably either way. Depends on the circumstance, I guess, a little bit. I don't know that I want complete free reign to just go as often as you want, but I know we're moving towards giving the student athletes opportunities and not limiting them. So I think we need to limit them at certain standpoint, but I do think there are opportunities for these waivers. I'll leave it at that.
Coach, last year, Kylie is kind of a unique player in the fact that she has the size of a 5, but she can also step out, create some space, hit threes. How do you kind of see her playing? Do you like having that 5 you can set outside, or do you like to see her closer to the basket more often?
No, well, I want every kid to play to their strength, and that is one of Kylie's strengths. Now, she needs to shoot it at a better percentage than she did a year ago, and we talked about that in her meeting too last week. So she took, I don't remember, 70 some odd threes a year ago, but just didn't shoot it at the percentage that she needs to shoot it at to probably take as many as she did. But no, I want her to shoot that. I'm trying to give her confidence to shoot that shot as long as it's the right one. If she's going to be, say, the 5 player, then she, by her shooting threes, it will pull their 5 player out of the paint most likely. And so that will give JJ or whomever a little bit more space to operate. So no, I want Kylie to play to her strengths. That is one of her strengths. She can run. I mean, she's goes and runs miles and miles. I mean, the girl doesn't get tired. She can run. So that's a part of who she is. She is not a physical bruiser type player. That's not going to be who she is. I don't want to try to make her into that. I want to utilize her at her best. Now, we need a complement to Kylie, right? That's kind of where, I don't want to ask Kylie to do something she can't do. I just want a player to complement Kylie, and that's a Danelle or a Tavi or a Tirza maybe, or the complement to what Kylie can do.
Does Watson fall in that category? I mean, mechanically, she shoots it well. It just hasn't showed up in the games, right?
Yeah, no, she falls in that category. No, and you're exactly right. If you watch Kyle Watson shoot the basketball, it is simple. It's what you want. The release, the rotation, all of that is really good. She did not shoot it at the level that I think she's probably capable of shooting it either. We weren't a great three-point shooting team last year at all, and so we need to get that. We got to shoot it at a much better clip, which I think this group is capable of doing if we'll take the right ones. But it won't be tons of volume. I mean, there'll be volume, but we're not trying to go shoot 1,000+ threes next year, as a team necessarily. But we need to shoot it efficiently.
You big analytics guy?
I am an analytics guy. Absolutely. Analytics tell a story. They don't tell the whole story. That's kind of how I look at it. There is definitely a story to be told with analytics. They can't tell the whole story. You got to play off your gut as well. But no, I'm an analytics guy. Coach Carter on my staff's an analytic guy. I think Coach Grant kind of likes it too. We're feeling analytics, but 100%. And we're getting more and more. We got more software companies coming out providing analytics for us. We can get reports right after the game now that give us every breakdown you could possibly want on the game. So, yeah.
Coach, I'm just kind of curious. Have you ever been in a situation before where the women's basketball coach and the men's basketball coach are both starting new at the same time? Or?
I have not.
So it's kind of a unique situation. I mean, have you talked? You and Josh kind of bounced ideas off at each other? Or?
Yeah, we have talked for sure. So Josh's son and my son are the same age and on the same golf team and the same basketball team. So Josh and I see each other quite a bit, to be honest. And that's been fun, getting to know him and his family. And I think our wives went to coffee one day or maybe a couple days now, so that has been great. Not even because we're the head coaches, just because of our children and their ages and how that's aligned. But so like basketball talk, not a ton. Life talk, being at West Virginia, program taking over. Yeah, those conversations happen quite often. But he and his staff have been awesome. Like the chemistry and the connection between both programs is as good as any that I've had good ones. I haven't had very many bad ones, but there can be some of that women's basketball, men's basketball battle a little bit. And it has not been that way at all. They've been tremendous. It's been great. It's fun to come into the building every day.
I got a couple background questions, but I didn't want to hog it if you guys are done with it. Okay. Get me, obviously, Texas guy. Were you always a basketball guy? Were you other sports? What were you growing up, or were you just basketball 100%?
No, I've played every sport you could probably think of. I mean, I went to racquetball camp, I played soccer, club soccer for 10 years. I played basketball, baseball in high school, but I played golf, 2 years of college golf and basketball for 4 years in college. So really kind of done really all. Played football until 9th grade, and I was playing cornerback, and I was trying to tackle running backs who were hitting me harder than I was hitting them. So I decided it was probably time to give football up and concentrate on something else. But no, I was blessed because, we went snow skiing. I can go water ski or wakeboard. I mean, literally we grew up and our parents blessed us with lots of opportunities. So yeah, multi-sport kid growing up for sure.
So was coaching an ingrained thing early, or did you pick that up late?
Didn't really pick that up until college. So I went to college thinking I was going to sports broadcast. Did an internship my sophomore year at the TV station, and that internship consisted of me basically coming up there on whatever nights we were playing high school sports and taking in scores. So you can imagine in Texas, high school football, I'm there at 10:30. I'm in college, typing in scores so they could, show it at the 10, whatever, would it come on at 10:25, I guess, sports comes on. And most of my friends were not working at 10:25 as a college student, right? And so I just wasn't really, and I don't know if that's exactly why I didn't love it or not, but I really thought that's what I was going to do. I announced our high school football games in high school, so I really thought I was on that track, and then really got through that experience and just decided that's not what I wanted to do. And the women's coach at Austin College, I played at Austin College, which is a Division III school. So I got to know the women's coach really well, and she always kept telling me, Mark, you should be a coach. Like, you would be a fantastic coach. And so really my junior year, I decided I'd go get a degree in exercise science, finished the communications degree as well, went on to get my master's, and then I actually got my first coaching job with her when she got the job at Montana State a couple years later, which would have been about 3 years later after I graduated.
Interesting, though, your communication, your wife was in broadcasting, right?
She was,
So
yeah.
I don't know if that connected you, and she's from Montana?
She is from Montana. So when I was coaching at Montana State, I guess it would have been my third year of 4, she was the CBS News reporter. So I saw her on the news every night, and there weren't a ton of people in Bozeman, Montana, and so I was like, I need to get to know her, and through her best friend who had interviewed me for a coaching class, connected us, and as they say, the rest is history.
I think she has a basketball background, right? But did she know what she was getting into with the basketball side of things?
Yeah, no, she knew. She played college basketball. She has 2 brothers that played Division I college basketball, and her dad was a very successful high school basketball coach. So she knew exactly, and I remind her often, or if she tries to complain about something about our life, I was like, you knew exactly what you were getting into. And so we even have a sign in our living room that says, we interrupt this marriage for basketball season, and we used to take it down, and now we just leave it up all year. I mean, basketball season is nonstop. So yeah, that thing stays up.
Was there a broadcaster you idolized, like, Brent Musburger or
Yeah.
Keith Jackson?
Yeah, like Marv Albert probably. Yeah, Keith Jackson. I mean, those are the ones that you were watching, I guess, back in my day growing up. Yeah, that was probably the 2. I mean, there's a bunch more now, like Chris Berman, back in the day too was the guy. So yeah, those were the guys.
Your kids, though, I mean, you see, kids are going to go one way or the other. They're either going to hate what you do and not want anything to do with it. Obviously, yours have gravitated to basketball. How have they grown with this?
With the move or just...
No, just them in basketball.
Oh, basketball.
From day one. I mean, they're probably infants and they've got a ball in their hands.
Yeah, no, they've just been in the gym. I've never pushed them. I just want, I want them to be successful at whatever they do. I don't care if it's a sport or not. They have gravitated to that. They were in a gym. I remember they were sitting on, you're not supposed to sit on a basketball, but my little kids would be sitting over there when they were 2 or 3 just watching practice. And then really the irony was they would go home and I wouldn't say a word to them about practice, and they would start asking questions about the practice and things that they picked up on I never would have thought a young kid would have picked up on. So we started to see pretty early that they were into it. I mean, my son, he would dress up in suits, like me. You know, we were wearing suits back in the day, so he'd come to the game and he'd have a full suit, tie, like looking like his dad. I mean, that was pretty important to him. And then my daughter, of course, had, you know, they're about 22 months apart a year in school, but she always had the built-in older brother to go play with and, you know, compete with. And so she got the upper hand, as most younger kids do, as the older one has to go through it. But I mean, my son could give you every stat from every team that I've had. And, you know, I mean, he is just in the know. He's our commissioner of our fantasy football league. I mean, he is just, that is him through and through. But they've been ingrained in it, but I never want my job to, you know, be the identity of our family. And so I've really tried to separate that, you know, that I need them to have their own activities, not miss stuff because they're coming to a game or those types of things. And I think we've done a really good job of don't let my job define our family's success, happiness, those types of things. And we've been fortunate to have a lot of success, but I don't want my kids to be defined by that.